Hi, everybody. It is Lisa Schulteis with Your Event Marketplace, and I am super excited to be joined today by Connie Cay-Santos of Engamio, and I got both names correct, so that's always a win for me. You never know, but super excited that you're here today. Super excited to have this conversation with you. I actually know Engamio pretty well. I've had a chance to play with the system a bit, which is always fun. Anytime I can beta anything, I'm always, it's the geek and the nerd in me, right? I always want to be able to go and play with things. But tell me a little bit about Engamio, what you guys do and what you're all about.
For sure. So first of all, thank you, Lisa, so much for your time today and this interview. So Engamio, if you think about our name, it's really about gamification and adding that in terms of engagement itself. So the core solutions behind Engamio is really taking the effective gaming mechanics that Adam and also Dimash and our product team has really done a great job in, and putting that into customizing the ability for our event professionals to create a content-rich experience. So you're thinking about, it's not just games, it's really a experience that could be customized to the content of the brand or the event itself, creating a story behind it, and then having that fun moment of playing the games that you've experienced. And then at the end, there's also the call to action or the special offer that really drives that sponsorship ROI and also just overall experience for the brand itself, because they always, when you're going to events, you want to have activations that engages people and you want to avoid those sinkholes. When I first joined Jamash's team, they's like, sinkholes, what's sinkholes? I'm like, when people have those breaks, they're always disappearing afterwards because it's a sinkhole. Like you lose them when there's no activations in between those little break times. So Engamio is basically helping to provide engagement for our event professionals that we avoid sinkholes and keep people throughout the event experience.
Great. And are you primarily focused with adding that gamification on with sponsors or for the event in whole?
I think the broader picture is the event as a whole, because when you think about sponsors, they're a stakeholder, and that stakeholder could be a sponsor, it could be the corporate company themselves. At the end of the day, there is a reason why they are hosting an event. And throughout the event, I would say it's not just during the break time that you could leverage Engamio solution, you can embed it throughout the experience. And the beautiful thing is, one of the tips that I help share with our clients is think of it as not just as a game, and think of it not just as for virtual, because you can really make it accessible, whether it is a in-person event or you're trying to do pre-registrations, you can use your new map and promote that and really create a bigger picture of like, wow, there's this many people from so many different places coming to your event. Now I want to go because our map allows that feature to happen. So I think there's a lot of potential that not everyone really understands. Like in Cameo, it's a game and that's it. I'm like, no, it's so much more.
Right. Yeah. I think you guys really focus on the engagement side of it, right? And
Exactly.
it is those activations and that activity. And I actually love the map. That's actually one of my favorite ones. I know that I love the idea of you using it for marketing purposes. I actually hadn't thought of that before. I love using it at the beginning of a session. So I love having my audience. So I also speak, right? So I love having my audience interact with me and having that pop up on stage at the beginning of a presentation to see where everybody is there from. It's really interesting. People want to know, right? We're all nosy in a good sense, right? And so it's just a really great kind of engagement piece to get things going at the beginning. So I think focusing on that engagement is huge for you all. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you all support live events or hybrid or virtual? I'm assuming all three, but how do you support the events, the different types of events?
So I think the support is really looking at and being very creative with our event planners that's using our solutions. From a virtual perspective, I think the biggest support is showing them how it works and then giving them the opportunity to think beyond just a break time and embed it in different areas of it. So when you think about what we just talked about is the map, and there's a brand new feature, Lisa, I want you to test this as well. And the map itself, before it used to be just a little pin that you can put a little drop to say where you're dialing from, and you can see the number of countries, the cities, and the number of people. Now the new map actually has the ability to provide your profile picture. So when you think about being nosy, it's not just nosy anymore. You're building it an excitement and built up of like, wow, there's this speaker and I can see their profile, what city they're dialing from. There's this other person, this other, you can, when you visually see the impact on the people itself, it creates that FOMO moment. It's not just the number of people, it's like who it is now that you can physically see. So I think that just adds in the extra excitement. So I think helping our clients see that in terms of the features is really exciting. And when we think about, let's say, jumping into our photo booth or our selfie booth, we have 4 different formats. And when you think about the speakers that are going to the event or your upcoming interviews, like, hey, check this out, Connie's going to be here. And you, if you really love Connie and you want to support her, take a selfie. So you can have those selfie moments with that speaker and really amplify, again, another FOMO moment where they can download that final selfie and share it on social. So I think when we help our event professionals really think about our solutions and in their events, it's like, what are the tools? How can we leverage it and make it very creative and unique for that specific experience and game? An event, and then reapply it potentially for different formats as well. So when we're thinking about also for hybrid events, I think the biggest challenge, and this question keeps coming up, is how do you bridge your virtual audience and your in-person audience? How do you make them connect? Because often in person, where they're in person, especially such a long time of this isolation and virtual events, people are just gravitated to people they can see and talk to, but there's still that virtual audience that's there waiting and wanting to connect as well. So I think with our games, it allows that interaction to happen self-time based. And we have those leaderboards that says, Lisa, you're going to have a contest with me. We're going to do the puzzle game and let's see who can do it better. And this is beautiful because it allows the participants to play no matter where they are, physically or virtually. And then they can see that leaderboard. And at the end, they can all have a chance to win that wonderful prize that could be sponsored or just, have fun together. So I think it's just, at the end of the day, regardless of the format of the event, is being creative with the solutions and looking at how we can implement it. And more importantly, is how do we make it accessible? And one more tip I'll share, Lisa, is how do we make sure it's part of our communication plan? Because often there's so many tools out there, whether it's networking or selfie booth or games itself. But if we don't communicate that, hey, we have some really cool activations and games for you, people are not going to know where to find it or that it's available.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a couple of different really important parts too. One of the things that you said is really connecting and bridging that in-person and virtual audience. When we're producing events and we're working with our clients on hybrids, that's really important. We're always looking for a way to do that. Obviously you can't replicate that live experience for your virtual people, but you can do things to bring the two groups together and create that sense of community that's so important right now.
Sure.
And we all have global audiences now that we have access to, and that's really important too. So I think that is a really great bonus of being able to bring those two groups together. The other thing that you kind of mentioned too was talking about your photo booth and talking about the map with the pin drops with the profile pictures on it. As we're getting back to live events, it's interesting because I was just at an event in Vegas a couple of weeks ago and everybody was masked. It was a requirement for this particular event. And the thing that I notice is you can't see faces, right? When you can only see from here up. I'm horrible with names. I'm really good with faces. I know that I know you if I can see your face. And so as we're getting back into even live or hybrid, having some way to see that person's face if we are in a situation where we're still in a masked environment or things like that, I think that's really important too. And so it's providing that visual cue for your
Yep.
attendees that they can get excited about pre-event to see who's coming, but then I think also at the event as people are engaging with your different apps, then that's a bonus for them as well. So that was that's something that's been in my mind since we were at the event. And I think that visual cue is really important as we continue to move forward too. Now, there's a lot of companies out there offering engagement and offering gamification. There's virtual event platforms that have some gamification built into it. What makes your company different? What makes you stand out from any other company that is doing, kind of this engagement piece?
It's a really great question. I often get asked that. And I think my response is also the reason why I joined Engamio. Their most powerful, I think, the way they've structured their games is that it allows three things. One, you're able to actually create an experience that's about content. So it's not just a game, because everyone looks at games and it's fun. It's kind of like one-time thing and you forget about it. But the way that it's structured, you're able to create a story behind every game. And that story ties back to the experience, to the event, and why you're there. So I think that piece on its own is very powerful in terms of how that is interlaid into the overall experience. And then the game itself, again, it ties back. Let's say, for example, if you have speakers, you have moments where you can do a selfie with that speaker. Again, you're tying that experience back to the speaker, you're highlighting the event, or even if you're looking at the word search, all of the keywords are customized and designed to kind of match back to help you retain the content that you just absorbed from that webinar. So again, content, story, it matches back to everything. So if anything, I think Engamio enables a very powerful tool that helps amplify the overall experience and have fun at the same time.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and bringing that experience is really, into an event is really, really important. So that's great.
Mhm.
So we've got a little bit of time. I'm going to throw in a bonus question here.
Okay.
So as we are, we're pretty early in 2022 yet. We're still looking at what's coming this year. It's still a little bit of a roller coaster ride for the events industry. So as we're approaching 2022 and people are planning their events, what do you see as kind of the really important trend or thing that they need to be paying attention to, and not necessarily shiny object syndrome, but something that people really need to pay attention to in 2022 and really, plan for with their events?
For sure. So if I could tie in two things for you, I would say, according to the event MB, they published their top 10 trends. One of them was engagement year round. I know that's going to be really important, but I think, as I mentioned earlier, regardless of the engagement and all these fun, shiny things that's out there, event professionals needs to stick to the core is communication. If we don't have great communication and flow for the journey, no matter what you do, people are not going to know that you have certain tools. So I think if anything, my tip and trend is communication is key in how you bridge those experiences with hybrid audience, with virtual and in person. I think those are really important. So I think just call out three things there for you.
No, and I think you're right. That sense of community that we all get at a live event, I think people are craving that now even more than ever, right? And having that engagement, having that community, and having it over the long term, I
Yeah.
think is really important because, so many companies, they have the event and the event's done and that's the end of it, right? Like they put all this energy into the front end, event's done, that's the last time you hear from them. And I think that's the piece that a lot of companies are missing, that if you can provide that value and you can provide that engagement throughout the year in different ways, I think that that is going to be a win for anybody who's hosting an event.
I 100% agree. And I think just going back to that new map feature with the profile. So not
I
only do
can't
you
wait to see it.
I'm gonna send you the link so you can test it out yourself too. But what I think is really beautiful, going back to the year-long engagement and that connection. So you're not just at an event and you said hi and maybe trying to recognize whether the eyes and the face matches or not. But the profile map allows you to see who's there, but you also have this connect button. And that connect button could link into your LinkedIn account. So your connection now from a professional level is not just stuck within a platform with a chat or a little conversation here or even in person in that small time frame, but it's year long or as long as you want to stay connected for through LinkedIn in a professional, because often with engagement as well, and unfortunately with COVID, it's impacted a lot of event professionals where if you connected with them through their email address at work and things has changed, you've lost that contact. But if you connected with them through their LinkedIn professional account, it's a lifelong experience and relationship that you've just built as well. So again, our map enables that as well.
Yeah, and that's a really great point. I know a lot of people whose email lists have shrunk dramatically because people have, we have the great resignation going on, right? So people are, moving from one company to another, and you may not have that connection. So yeah, having that through LinkedIn is a great thing. So I know you have the map, which again is one of my favorites. I know that you have the photo booth as well. What other features do you currently have, and are there any, kind of cool features coming down the road?
There's lots of cool things coming down the road. So just to recap, so Engamio has the map, there's the pin one, and there's the new profile one. We have the photo booth that allows 4 different templates for you, whether you want to focus on just the banner of the event, or speakers 1 or 2, or just having an actual selfie of that individual. So there's the selfie. There is the word search as well. So that can really help provide retention to the content of the webinars or the conversations with the speaker. And then we also have this really fun jigsaw puzzle, which you might have played as well. And that's a lot of fun because it engages people for up to at least 3 minutes on average, for them to kind of like put the pieces together. So I think from a team building perspective and trying to put the big picture, it really symbolizes from a corporate perspective, it's like, hey, we want you to see the vision, but in order to see the vision, you have all these little pieces that you're going to now put together. And then when you finish, you have this wow moment, hopefully. So we have that. And then coming down the road, we are planning for every 2 months. We're going to be co-innovating with our partners to see what's out there that they really want that we don't have yet. And we'll be adding some more games. So every 2 months, expect to have a new announcement of what's coming.
Very exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to find out. It's always fun to see what's going to be released, and being able to play with some of those new features and things like that too. So Connie, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to come in and tell us a little bit more about Engamio. For anybody who is curious about learning more, I encourage you to reach out to Connie. You can definitely find their profile here on Your Event Marketplace, and ask questions. That's what this is all about. It's asking questions to make sure that whatever you're choosing for your event is a good fit for your event. So I encourage you to reach out to her, ask those questions, see if you can play with it too. You will definitely love it. I love playing with the different features, and see if that's something that makes sense for your upcoming event. So Connie, thank you again, everybody. We will see you on the next video, and have a great day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lisa. Bye, everyone.